Oh yeah, there's pros and cons for all languages.
Yeah.
The thing we do love about PHP.
I think that honestly, there are programmers, there are really good programmers, and then there are, I think, the class of people that call themselves maybe PHP developers,
That's
JavaScript developers.
Like you have the mechanics and the guy that just do Mercedes, for example.
Exactly. And this is the kind of person that you want. I think this is the exact opposite of the person that gives PHP a bad name. I'm a huge PHP fan. I love PHP, and like I come from a history of working with statically typed languages. I'm big into C#. I'm recently really big last 3 years into TypeScript.
Right.
Like I love everything that comes out of the person behind these two. It was like the same guy who built both. So I love these languages, and I have like a very hateful stance against Python, and yet I love PHP. So like I'm like a walking kind of hypocrite stereo, whatever, you know. So, but I'm a huge fan of PHP, but I find that there are a lot of PHP developers, and then there are programmers, I think, and then the programmers will learn how to use PHP well.
Yeah.
And then maybe there are like the less talented or less experienced or less exposed PHP developers that give PHP its bad name. Now, I'm going to be kind of objective here. PHP gives you a lot of tools to shoot yourself in the foot, right? Maybe more tools than other languages. There are a lot more, foot guns, if you will, in PHP than in other languages. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that PHP can't be like a beautiful, eloquent, well-built language, right? I've seen incredibly beautiful PHP projects, and I've seen disgusting C# projects.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So the tool is just a tool, and if you wield it poorly, like you're going to shoot yourself in the foot.
Oh yeah, there's pros and cons for all languages.
Yeah.
The thing we do love about PHP is the flexibility, the amount of developers. You wouldn't serve a client properly by, just like that's before we were doing some Ruby, but resources are not easy to find. And nowadays, like we have Shopify in Montreal that absorb all of them. So there's pretty much have none available in the market. And we already had clients that were pissed because we've let them keep going with Ruby. And when they left us, they couldn't find anyone that was affordable to work on the project. And that's why we ended up just focusing on PHP, because it's good for everyone.
Yeah.
Facebook is still having some PHP part, in their platform.
Yeah.
We already had a project, and that's like more than 10 years ago. So computers and the servers and the processors were not that powerful. And we were generating more than 500,000 visitors a day on that thing, just with a couple load balancer on a custom PHP MVC, and no problem,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a more versatile, I find.
Yeah.
More flexible, easier, and more convenient.
Yeah.
But if you would build an app that needs power, and you don't care about the language, maybe you would pick something else, But there's not much you cannot do with PHP nowadays.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And like I find myself fighting to defend PHP a lot, which is probably a bad sign. Maybe I'm like a bit of a, I don't know what the right nice word is, but I'm definitely not on the right side of the battle here. But PHP is used by companies of scale. You ever get into an argument with somebody who goes like, "Oh, but PHP doesn't scale," right? And then you get to the bottom of this argument, like, what does scaling really mean, right? Because if you're going to try to tell me, like you said, Facebook isn't a big scale company, you don't know what you're talking about, right? Like Baidu is the biggest search engine in Southeast Asia, PHP. You got Etsy, one of the biggest marketplaces in the world, all PHP, like everything PHP. You've got Slack. If I'm not mistaken, Slack, half of their backend is PHP.
I heard about that, yeah.
They have like this whole thing, like, when you paste a link or you paste something into Slack and it gets enriched, that thing is like incredibly quick, incredibly powerful. It enriches everything. I think that entire kind of platform is built on PHP.
Right,
so,
right.
I mean, there is a place for PHP in scale. right? But there's also a place for PHP in like the more what we would call uglier parts of the world. But if someone wants to argue the whole PHP doesn't scale thing, I think that's an argument that can be easily kind of poked if you just use these 4 examples. But I agree with you. Like if you want power, like if you're doing something like ad tech, you better stay away from PHP, right? You need like sub-millisecond kind of computations. Like there's no way PHP is going to fit this. Exactly.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
But unless you can give me specific reasons why PHP isn't the right tool, I would argue that PHP is the right tool if you have the right people.
Yeah.
Right? It comes down to
for sure.
So if you have a bunch of Ruby pros, do it in Ruby. Like don't find a reason to take on a language that your team doesn't know just because you think it won't suit the job, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, look, if you have a bunch of Ruby that are really good internally, and you're gonna have a Ruby team forever, go for it.
Exactly.
Same thing with Python, or C#, or I'm not a fan of it, but but I mean, all languages have some as benefits. So like I hate when people are. No, sorry, I'm not. I don't hate. I kind of have empathy for them. Like when people have like this closed mind about PHP sucks. Yeah. And like, okay, what do you like, Ruby? Like, especially for the Ruby world, I heard that a lot. Maybe because I was talking with a lot of them. Said PHP sucks so much and this and that. And I mean, you want to talk scalability? Like Ruby has a lot to say about it. It's not that scalable but I'm sure there's good things too in Ruby. We stopped doing it, but there's good things too. Like I know that the code is super clean and it's very easy to learn and all of that. But at the same time, if you work with PHP and Laravel, it's pretty clean too. So
it's not just clean; it's beautiful. Honestly, like it's a joy to work with, right? Like you come from a different language that has a framework not as mature as Laravel, and like the difference is night and day, right? Like in Laravel, you want something, it's probably there for you, and it's done well. In another language with a framework not as mature as Laravel, like fine, your language is dope, but your framework just is not as mature.
Exactly.
Right. There are a few frameworks as mature as Laravel, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. No, that's right. I mean, Symfony is there before, and then Laravel is built.
Yeah, I feel like Laravel was built on the backbone of Symfony, right? So like Symfony gets a lot of credit for this.
I had asked, I forgot what it was, but I had asked the guys what was the difference in between, because it's very similar. Yeah, I know the how do you call it, the
Eloquent.
No. Yeah, there's that. That I remember. No, but the support. What's the term? There's 3 letters. 3 letters for the support. Lifetime.
LTS.
Yeah.
LTS.
So I know Symfony has a longer LTS.
Yeah.
But when we had this conversation, they could only tell me 2 things that were different from Laravel to better in Symfony. So it's Laravel is pretty solid. It's pretty solid. Most projects we have here, we just do it. It's just like by default we use Laravel. So if I had a camera, Steve, I think I would just turn it to